Hi, my name is Brian King. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to StampWithBrian.com. I often get questions about the rules or guidelines that I use for cutting borders around my sentiments or on my cards. I really like to play with paper and create a nice frame or a nice matting for a sentiment. But first I want to show you a couple of quick and easy ways that you can use your Stampin' Up! Stampin' Trimmer for measuring cardstock. So I have this little piece of paper that is 1.5 by 2.5. And I'm going to show you how I know that. If you'll just come on in. So this is the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. Now if I wanted to know the measurement of this, I could pull out a ruler and measure both sides. I could also layer the paper down here, lined up on the cutting edge, and measure it that way. But I can also close my trimmer and just slide it in, and I see that this way is 1.5 inches and this way is 2.5. It's a quick and easy reference point. So if I wanted to create a matting for this piece of paper, I could cut this to be really tight or a really large border. And typically I like to play with anywhere from 1/8 of an inch larger to 1/2 inch. So if I wanted to create a really small border on this, I would cut it start at the 2.5 and then just slide it 2 notches, which is 1/8 of an inch. And that's going to give me a 1/16 of an inch on either side. And then do the same for 1.5, slide it 2 notches. So once you divide that to the center of your piece of white paper, you're going to have a very small border like that. And you can play with the borders any which way you want. Just make sure that if you're doing that, if you increase this by 1/8 of an inch, increase the other side by 1/8 of an inch. So I want to show you a couple of sentiments that I've created. This one has just a very thin border using 1/8 of an inch, whereas this one has a thicker border. Same middle, but a different look. And I've created a couple of them with a variety of borders that you can just see. And I don't have the exact measurements for each of these, but it's really worth playing around with. So this one has a thicker border, followed by a thin border, and then a tiny thin border. Whereas this one has a not as thick as border as this, but the outside pieces are about the same. But you can tell it makes a complete difference in how you mat this sentiment. The sentiment, by the way, is from Perfect Pennants and will be available in the new catalog. This one has a relatively thin border followed by a normal size there, and then this one has a thicker border on the outside. I just show these different ways to show you that the same exact sentiment can look completely different depending on how you mat the layers that surround it. I hope that you have found this helpful. And if you have any questions, please email me or stop by StampWithBrian.com to purchase any of these items or to ask any questions you might have. Thanks for stopping by today.